Hello and welcome. I am Matt Roddy, and this is the Greater Prescott podcast, where we talk about, you guessed it, all things Greater Prescott. Today, I get to learn a lot more about C.A.S.A, an organization that does a lot in the foster care system, and I am joined by Qunici. And Qunici, I don't know your title. I meant to ask you before I started.
Well, I'm the program manager for C.A.S.A.
Okay.
They've recently changed my title, and honestly, I don't even know what it is because I actually oversee all things related to children in the foster care system as it relates to the court. And so we've got a number of things that go on with that.
And please introduce our other guest, because you found someone who was willing to be on the podcast.
I did. This is Patricia Bradford. She is one of our advocates. She has been with us now for, I'm going to say,
it's going to be 3 years in December.
That's
Excellent.
what I thought.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. We'll kick it off. What is C.A.S.A?
So C.A.S.A is the court-appointed special advocate program. We have a C.A.S.A program in every county in Arizona, all 15 counties. It is an agency or an organization within the court system that recruits and trains volunteers to advocate for children while they're in foster care.
Okay.
That's the short.
Short and sweet.
Yes.
We're going to get into that in a little bit, but the way I first like to start it off is tell people, where were you born and raised? What did you do when you were a kid? We won't spend a lot of time on that with two people, but just I really like to give people some context for who is on the podcast. So why don't you kick it off?
So I was born in California in Orange County and spent a good part of my childhood in the Inland Empire, moved about an hour inland from Orange County. Got married, moved back to Orange County, ended up in Arizona in 2010.
Okay.
And my late husband and I wanted to get out of the rat race a little bit. We ended up here, and I have two sisters, and my parents still live in California, and I have a daughter.
Okay. How old's your daughter?
She is 28.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's your daughter doing?
She's doing great. She actually is a teacher in this building for kids when they're in detention. Yes.
Oh
yes.
My goodness.
She started with them about a year ago.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we see each other frequently.
Interesting. A little bit of context about myself. I almost have my PhD in clinical psychology. So when I was on an internship in Kane County, which is the county just outside of Chicago.
Yes.
I worked in a building, or I came and did assessments in a building identical to this. It was kind of odd when I moved here 3 years ago. I drove by this place going, oh my gosh, that looks like the Kane County Juvenile Center, where I would go and do assessments. And I learned about things like there's actually teachers in there. I mean, some of these children are in here for some time.
Right.
And obviously they try to make it as normal as one can make it. So
yeah,
very interesting.
They don't want them to miss out while they are working on, the challenges that they have in their life. And so being able to offer a school, and our school is very highly rated here.
Good.
And it is open to youth that are not detained.
No kidding.
So they could actually attend school here if they opted to. And they do have some students like that. But yeah, she loves it because it's not like your traditional school. Right. They aren't doing the same types of testing and assessments. Well, they do assessments, but not the testing.
Yes, like an end of the year type stuff.
Exactly, because they're always on a rotating schedule to try and meet the needs of the students that are in the facility at that particular time. But yeah,
that's really neat. She works here.
Yeah,
under the same roof.
I know. It is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Patricia.
Well, I was born in southern Illinois in a very small little town, the oldest of 7 kids, and everybody wanted to just get out of town. So I moved to Hawaii for a few years, and
that's one way to get out of town.
Never seen the ocean before, and went to Hawaii and decided I'd stay. So lived in Hawaii for a couple of years and ended up in California, where I met my husband, and he also is the oldest of 7. So we're used to families, and he had been married before. We've been married for 38 years, and between the two of us, Now we have 8 children.
Okay.
So we have a very busy life. We have a 10-year-old. We came here to Arizona for a retirement.
Yes.
And but our life is evolving, like
Good.
everyone's. And so it's like, I'm not sure what else you wanted me to tell you, but that's kind of where I'm coming from. Been in the was in the business world for 15 years.
Okay.
And
What?
well, the oil industry. And was an analyst for international planning.
Okay.
That was the last assignment that I had. And I gave birth to a premature baby, and that ended my time in the workforce. Just being a mom.
Yeah.
Being a mom and working in the church, being a head of women's ministries, doing what you do when you're a mom. And
Which is about everything.
about everything. Exactly.
Emily and I have 4 kids. We're grateful that my Emily can stay home. She does everything. Like it's such a homemaker doesn't quite cover everything that happens.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Let's kick it off. Why don't you give people the backstory on CA.S.A, some of their history, how they got started, because it's a large organization.
It is, yeah. It's a nationwide.
Yep.
There was a judge in Seattle over 40 years ago, or close to 40 years ago, that felt like he was listening to families and their stories through their attorneys in the court system when their children had been removed, and he was making all of these decisions. Do I order that children be returned to their parents? Do I order that the parents' rights are terminated because they are not effectively able to safely parent their own children? He didn't feel like he was getting the whole story, and he said it used to keep him up at night. He's making these really important decisions for families, but he didn't feel like he had all the information, especially as it came to the perspective from the child.
Yeah.
So he got together a group of his friends and put together just a volunteer group saying, would you be willing to be assigned to a child, get to know them, and then report back? And they agreed. And that's how CA.S.A was born in Seattle, Washington. And that idea of advocating for children within the court system grew, and slowly agents or organizations started raising the funds to create a CA.S.A organization within their state, county, township, whatever it was. Arizona's a little bit unique because we're one of like a handful of states that actually has the state support in the work that we do. In other areas, like in California and a number of other states, in fact, the majority of the other states, they are actually 501c3 organizations.
Oh, interesting.
They have to do all of their own fundraising to actually have a CA.S.A program within their area or their town, their county, whatever it is. For some reason, the legislation in Arizona said, you know what, kids are really important. We want to make sure that they have an advocate in our court systems. So we're actually going to fund those programs so that every county has a CA.S.A program. So slowly, I mean, not all of it didn't, the program didn't roll out for every single county at the same time, but slowly all of the counties ended up coming on board. And then in Yavapai County, I feel like we're even more blessed because we not only have funding from the state, which is actually money from unclaimed lottery tickets in Arizona. We get a portion of that money, but also through the Yavapai Board of Supervisors. They also kick in some money to help support our agency. And so we got started here and have been in operation for over 30 years.
Really, that long?
Yeah.
What about nationally? When did that judge in Seattle start?
That was about 40 years ago. So, yeah.
It's a good track record.
And so the agency, you know, CA.S.A as an agency has grown. It is always looking to grow more because as the number of children in the foster care system increase,
the need grows also.
Yeah, the need grows. And so I don't know exactly I think there's close to 1,000 CASA programs nationwide. The number of advocates within the program, it fluctuates because as
naturally.
Patricia will be able to tell you, this type of work is not for everybody. Sometimes we say CASA is like Big Brothers, Big Sisters on steroids, because you are getting intimately involved with children, but as a CASA, you are an advocate. You are the eyes and ears for the judge in the court system. There is a certain distance that you have to keep as far as you don't take the child home with you, and you're not integrating them into your home and your life the way Big Brothers Big Sisters has kids come into their home, and they're trying to become that pseudo family or fill in those gaps that a child might be missing due to the loss of a parent for whatever reason. But CASAs are looking at it from a legal standpoint, and they're trying to understand the court system, work with a team that's assigned to this family while children are in the foster care
give people
system.
an idea what types of people are on that team, because they're pretty extensive.
Gosh. It's very extensive. And I imagine we'll get to this at some point, but I started out as a CASA volunteer before I started.
wanted to know how you ended up
running
here.
the program. And I just remember the first time I did a courtroom observation, and I was, in my mind, I was calculating all the money that was there based on the positions of people.
Yep.
But everybody has an attorney
Says
involved.
the analyst over there going,
I was doing the same thing.
Yes, yeah. It was amazing to me to sit in this room, and I'm very good friends with attorneys and judges and stuff because of this experience. But attorneys that I've spoken to who practice family law, in dependency law, related to these things, they said there's no other type of law practice that's like this.
Oh, I imagine.
And so you have the Department of Child Safety, where everything begins. A call is made, concern of abuse or neglect, and they're automatically involved. Well, the Department of Child Safety has an attorney, which is the Attorney General's office. They're the ones who represent Department of Child Safety. But then you have mom and dad, and they each get their own attorney, because oftentimes parents are not married. And even if they are married, they're going to have separate attorneys because they may have different goals, may have different visions about how things should be. And Patricia will tell you, in our cases, sometimes there's multiple parents involved in these cases, multiple children, multiple parents. Everybody gets an attorney, including children. They have an attorney. If we have a child, an older child, or if we have a parent who doesn't seem to understand what's going on, maybe they have a mental or cognitive deficiency, they may also be appointed what's called a guardian ad litem. And in Yavapai, those are attorneys. And they're called best interest attorneys. And so in some cases, we have family members or children who actually have two attorneys representing them.
Real quick, I'm going to stop you. For the people listening, when you typically think of children who are not a part of their family, or who are going through something challenging with their parents, there are so many layers to this that it's hard to fathom. It seems almost kind of from the outside, well, it's not that hard. They have a mom, or they have a dad, or they whatever. But when you start kind of digging in, there's so many inherent challenges in this process. So as you start to speak to all the people who become a part of a case, there's a lot going on.
With the team. And immediately somebody from behavioral health is appointed to the family too, because anytime you remove a child, even if there is abuse and neglect with that child or in that family, it's always alleged, because these are not criminal cases. These are civil cases. These are civil allegations against a mom or dad. That's why a lot of people come into this and they say, well, why aren't these parents in jail? They read the allegations of why this child was removed. This is not a criminal case. Very small percentage of our cases do end up with a criminal component. But
is that age? Is that because they're juveniles? or is
No.
it just how it's
It's because of
been-
the circumstances
Okay.
of what's happened. Now, I have been on cases where a parent has been convicted of child abuse, and that there is that criminal component. Then we have some parents that are actually involved in criminal activity in addition
Right.
to whatever's going on
Okay.
in the home. And so they're unable to parent their child because of their other
Yes.
choices that they're making. So
speaking to the
gets-
amount of layers?
yes,
that's
it's very, very
going on.
complicated.
Yep,
Yeah,
very complicated.
So there's a lot of people involved. If we're lucky, we're able to also have a CA.S.A appointed to a case who
Okay.
becomes part of that team.
Yeah.
In addition to the behavioral health, which is the therapists
Mm-hmm.
that work on these cases, all of these attorneys and the parents, and then of course our wonderful placements, foster parents that are taking care of these kids while they're in this system. Sometimes placements are family members. Ideally, children would be with somebody they're familiar with.
Yep.
But oftentimes they can't be. So it's a foster placement, or maybe they call them kinship placements, which could be close family friends.
Okay.
Somebody who's familiar to the child or vice versa, and they feel safe in their care. So there are a lot of people involved. And then of course the judge,
Yep.
when we're in court, there's the other court.
Yeah. Patricia, I don't want to lose you over there.
No.
Do you have anything to add just to the complications that are a part of this entire system? And the reason I ask is I just want to give people such a better understanding of what really happens and how deep the challenges are.
Well, I think just what you said, the layers. There are so many layers, and the more people that are involved, the more layers that there are. And just when Qunici said about the abuse or neglect, even if there was no abuse or neglect, for a child to have to come into a court and come into a room with all of these players and be in that situation, that in itself is trauma.
Amen.
So
Yeah, regardless
there's-
of anything extra that
Yes.
has happened.
Yes.
Yep.
So
All right. So then just walk us through what the Yavapai CA.S.A looks like, what you guys long to do, with just the purpose of what you guys do.
Ideally, Matt, if we could have an advocate assigned to every child that's in the foster care system, that would be the pinnacle for
Okay.
us. I know that's what the judge would love to
Yeah.
have, because as I explained how the CA.S.A program even became in existence, it's because judges are only given a certain amount of information when they are listening to the parties when they have their hearings. Any attorney appointed to a parent is going to portray their client, the parent, in the best possible light.
course.
And so that is not necessarily an accurate picture
Correct.
of how they are as a parent or their ability to parent with their child. And so having that advocate who is unbiased, who has actually spent a lot of time getting to know that child, who is taking in all of this information from all of these different sources and then providing a report to the judge to say, this is what's really going on. I have had cases, and I had one not too long ago, where everything appeared to be going very, very well on a case, because that's the perception that was coming from the attorneys. And the CA.S.A said, I agree that it does appear like a lot of things are going well. However, I noticed a couple deficits in this case regarding a parent, and my suggestion is we do a couple of these things to make sure that everything that we are seeing is what's really going
Yes.
on.
Right.
And so the CA.S.A made some suggestions. They're called recommendations in their report to
Yes.
the judge. And the judge said, let's do it. Let's do this test. Let's do this evaluation. Let's do those things so that we all have peace of mind with the direction that this case is going. Nobody else brought that up, but the CA.S.A did. And the judge really respects the CA.S.A's voice, because she knows, and we have a she judge, she knows that they are really looking at all of these things objectively.
Yep.
It doesn't always happen like that, but it does happen like that frequently, because CASAs don't have an agenda.
Yep.
They are just there for the best interest of the child. And this is the child that they are devoting all of their time and energy to. Attorneys have multiple clients.
Yeah.
Behavioral health has a lot of clients, through therapy. The Attorney General's office represents the Department of Child Safety, but they're overseeing hundreds of cases.
Yeah.
CASAs are focused on that one child or that one case.
Yeah.
So they can give it that extra attention
Yep.
that it needs.
Is it fair to say that the judge's primary desire is to do what is in the best interest of this child?
I would say yes with an asterisk.
Okay.
And the asterisk is, I want to do what's in the best interest of this child, but following the law and what the law says
Of
I
course.
can do, or what's required to return a child or not return a child to that parent or
Yes.
parents. Judges are bound by the law.
Of course. Okay.
And the law does not always align with best interest of the child. So that would be the only thing. But
That makes perfect sense.
our judge is fantastic. She
Are you allowed to say her name?
Oh, yes. Anna Young
Anna Young.
is
Okay.
our judge. She oversees all of our dependency cases, which
Okay.
are all the children in foster care. She also oversees all of the delinquency cases.
Okay.
So all of our kiddos that are involved with detention, whether they're currently detained or on probation.
Okay.
We have a lot of crossover
Right.
kiddos that are in both systems. And we have a lot of cases where some of our older youth end up becoming young parents, and then just due to circumstances in their life, sometimes we see them come back into the system
Yes.
with their own children.
Okay.
And so she has a very good finger, on the pulse
Yes.
of what's going on in Yavapai, what's going on with our kiddos, and she has a fantastic memory. So she can recall so many
Oh, yeah.
things with what's happened with our kids. And so I feel like she goes into these hearings extremely prepared to
Yep.
make those best decisions
Yeah.
because she's got all of that history.
And I think that's where I was going with my question. The judge desires to have all the information possible.
Yes.
Whether it's biased, unbiased, just
Yes.
everything. So
Yeah.
these people are really smart. They've studied
Yeah.
like Anna Young.
Yeah.
They've got their pulse pretty well pinned down.
Mm-hmm.
How many cases does she currently have,
In like delinquency cases,
or dependency?
dependency cases, I think we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 260 cases, but close to 400 children.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And how many CASAs do we have?
I think we're around low 70s
Okay.
for CASAs.
Man, that's a lot.
And some CASAs have multiple. We have a few CASAs that take more than one case.
Okay.
Or they'll take cases with multiple children. And so
Makes
I
sense.
think we serve about 130 kids
Okay.
with those 70 CASAs.
Yep.
And then like in Patricia's case, she has been what we call a courtesy CASA for a young lady whose case it originates in Navajo County, but
Correct.
she was placed in the Prescott area, but then they moved her down to the Maricopa County
Okay.
area. But I think she was thinking of coming back to this area.
Right.
I don't know where
And-
that stands
yeah.
right now, but we partner with other counties
Okay.
to make sure that if a child from another county is placed here, if we can, we will appoint a CASA so that there are eyes on the child, because oftentimes people can't travel across the state.
Right.
Even though they may have started out appointed to a child, that child gets moved because we also have an enormous deficit of foster homes, licensed foster homes in all of our counties. And so when a child gets removed, they have to look at where there's an available bed. And if you have a sibling group, it's even harder.
Yep.
Because there may be a home that's licensed for 3 kids, or 2, maybe they have 2 spaces available, but there's a sibling group of 3 or 4. And so they get split up. Or in the case of Patricia's case, she was, I think, originally placed locally here because, sometimes too, if you have family throughout the state, they'll try and place a child
Makes
with
sense.
family. There's so many variables. And then our kids have a lot of challenges.
I think that's an understatement.
Yeah. And so sometimes through no fault of their own, they have these really big feelings and behaviors. They don't know where they're coming from, but maybe a placement says, I really can't deal with this. Can you please move them? And so then they get moved again. And so it's just always this musical chairs of placements, and it's really difficult. But we try and provide advocates even for kiddos when they're not out of Yavapai County, because no child should not have an advocate just because they can't be placed in their own county. So we're always trying to partner with other counties to
that makes sense.
Yeah, fill that void as well.
Okay. Yeah. Patricia.
Yes.
What do you do?
What do I do?
And speak to that, and then how you got involved.
Well, what I do, so every month there's a requirement that there be a CFT, a Child Family Team Meeting, and that includes some of those players that Qunici mentioned, an attorney for the child, or everyone's attorney, parents, therapists, all those kinds of players. We meet and discuss what's going on, what their needs may be, what things need to be addressed, what's coming up in the near future, court dates, etc. So, so I'm meeting with the child as often as I can. At one point in time, I was able to meet every single week with one of my kiddos, and depending on where they're placed and COVID and all these different things that get thrown into the equation. But so aside from meeting with the team, meeting with the kiddo, doing reports for the judge. So once every 3 or 4 months, we're going into court. And prior to that, a few weeks prior to that, I'm submitting a report to the judge. And I think other than that, I do every month, I'm doing a contact log, letting my department know exactly what my contact's been. I'm also doing training every year, at least 12 hours of training. I always try to do as much as I can squeeze in. To me, that's one of the super huge benefits of this job and I say job because I take it seriously like a job, but I am a volunteer. But being afforded opportunities for training that benefits me personally, benefits my family, benefits the kiddos, benefits everyone all around us. It's just great. And and then I got into this, Matt, wanting to give back. I'll tell you, advertising works. They must have had some little thing up the courthouse square one year where we had Hope Fest, I think. I know I participated in that in a different vein, and walked around the square and talked to the different vendors that were there, and I picked up a little CA.S.A letter opener or something. And I ran across that one morning in my kitchen, and I'm just like, something just got a hold of me. It was just the weirdest thing. And I'm like, I'm going to call this number on here. And I called well, my first question was, when I got somebody, was, hey, I have a daughter who was actually in dependency at one time, in dependency court. And would this be a conflict of interest? Would this be an issue? Could I be a CA.S.A? And she's like, well, I don't know. I'm kind of new here. I better ask, and I'll find out.
It's a good start.
So I get a call back, and I thought, I think I recognized this name, and I said, do you know me? Do I know you? She goes, well, she started kind of giggled, and she goes, well, yeah, you do. And the gal that I was speaking to was actually had been our daughter's CPS worker.
Oh my goodness.
And she had worked for DCS. Well, it's gone been CPS, DCS, back and forth a couple of different times. And then when I spoke to her, she was working with the CA.S.A department. So anyway, it's like, I think I would really like to do this. It's like, as I said, I'm the oldest of 7. I've been taking care of kids. My grandma used to tell me I've been changing diapers since I was 3 years old.
Totally.
And so it's like, that's kind of a natural gifting, to just be a friend, be there, help, you've probably seen these things on Facebook, it's like, if you could write a letter to your younger self, it's like, you get to be that letter. As a CA.S.A, you get to be there for that younger self. And maybe we haven't been abused or neglected, but we've all been scared. We've all been fearful, anxious. Yeah. We've all had things that we were uncomfortable with. And these kids are going through that kind of thing, and you get to be there with them. You get to be a friend to them. And like I said, you're giving back. You give back to the community. You and hope in somewhere in time, they'll hear your voice in their head, and they'll remember that. I'll tell you a short story. It's like, I had a therapist tell me, she said, this kiddo that we were both working with, she said, she was so excited after she met you. And she came in and she's like, she likes me. She really likes me. She likes me, and it's like, this was a big deal to this kid.
Absolutely.
And like I said, you get one end of the spectrum to the other, from some severe abuse and neglect to who knows what.
Right.
That brings them into that situation. But so that's kind of my story. And I don't know. Do you want to know more, or what do you want to know, Matt?
Why don't you just talk to the people who are going to be listening to this, who may be in a similar situation or just a position of life that you were in when you decided to be a volunteer, and just give them a little...
That everybody has something to give. Everybody. I don't care what background you came out of, what job that you've had or didn't have. It's like, I would love to be on your end of the table, having my PhD in psychiatry. It's like, but that didn't happen for me. But you don't need a PhD.
No,
you don't need your law degree. But and I have a lot of attorneys in my family, and law enforcement heavy in our family. But we everybody needs, like I said, just to be that somebody there, to be a constant. To be some peace in a situation that, for the most part,
is chaotic.
It's very chaotic.
Yep, they need the exact opposite.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And you don't need any training. You get all the training that you need or want, and it's like I said, you bring so much to the table that you just don't even realize that you have, and. I would just say, if you're thinking about it, just try it. Give it a shot. Just come in and talk to somebody. Pick up the phone and call and talk to somebody. And don't judge yourself. Don't judge your situation or your experience. And just try it.
I'm so glad you said just pick up the phone. So one of my big things for the podcast is simply to give the people information and then throw them just a little bit of a hook. Just make the phone call. Right. Just call. Just ask some questions. You don't have to sign up necessarily, but don't be scared. Just call.
And it's not like it's a 9-to-5 job. It's not every day of the week. It's not, it can be what you want it to be. There's times when I wake up in the middle of the night and I look at my emails, or I'm doing those things, but I don't have to do that. I just took a month vacation. Right. We were out of town. I still did 2 or 3 meetings while I was out of town. I can do, and especially now with Zoom, it's like you can be anywhere, anytime you want. And like I said, it's however many, it's whatever case you want. It's like when I came into the program, they put me in a room like this and said, hey, here's some files I think you might be interested in. Take a peek, see what you think, and let me know. And you can decide which cases you want or you don't want to take, and how much you want to do.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
A little bit of a tangent based on something that you reminded me of. Greater Prescott is a really interesting area in terms of the demographics. A lot of people come here to retire. And I have a huge passion for people who come here and retire and don't do anything. And I want them to get involved in something. I mean, the research is pretty clear. The more you're doing things, the longer you live. And definitely the better quality of life you're going to have.
So glad to know that.
And so there's so many things, whether it's CA.S.A here in Yavapai County or so many other organizations that people your age, and frankly, people my age who don't have anything else to do, that they can get involved.
Right.
So I'm always going, get involved, people. Get
Absolutely.
involved.
Right.
There's enough organizations. You can find something that you're going to love. Right. The kiddos might not be your thing, but there's plenty of retirement communities that could use some help or whatever. There's
Right.
plenty of places.
And you say the kiddos might not be your thing. And I said, teenagers are not my thing. And what do I have?
Yeah.
I have 2 teenagers. 2 of my CA.S.A kiddos are teenagers.
That's great.
So,
Yeah, well said. Anything to piggyback on what she said?
No, I think she covered everything like she pointed out, which I think people get kind of hung up with. Well, I still want to do these other things, or I want to be involved in other things. And like Patricia said, she was on vacation for a month.
Excellent. You can.
yes, absolutely.
We have a couple. They both went through the training together, and they are actually out of state for 3 months.
Okay.
But like Patricia said, and I always say this is one of the good things that came out of COVID. Everybody became more technology savvy.
Yes.
To do the Zoom meetings, to call in for things. Of course, being in person, being able to read body language and meet with people is really, really important.
Yes.
But in a
It's
pinch,
not
or
always possible.
in a circumstance, you can call in. You can call in for those hearings. You can call in for those meetings. If you're going to be out of town or something comes up, just let us know. And I work with my staff to make sure that we make volunteering as easy as possible so that
Good.
you still have your own life.
Yeah.
We will give you the support that you need. We, like she said, we work with you on the case that you select. We don't just train you, give you a case and say good luck. We walk with our volunteers through every step of the way because, Matt, not every case is the same, not every child is the same, not every circumstance is the same.
No, they're all different.
These cases take twists and turns that I feel one of the things I love about this job is I learn something all the time. There's always something new happening. There's some new circumstance. And we work together as a team. And I feel like we're a family as a staff. I feel like we're a family with the advocates that
Absolutely.
we have. And
Yes.
we want everybody to feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Absolutely.
Something where they're giving back to the community, because the reality is these kids are going to grow up. They are going to be the business owners, hopefully, the neighbors,
A
and
part
stuff
of our community.
within our community. And so we can have a positive effect on that, or we can sit on the sidelines and let other people do the work.
Right.
But we're going to miss out on the blessing of having an impact on what's going on in our community. And we've got a wonderful community here. We have so many caring people. We've got, like I said, a fantastic judge. We've got a group of other folks, the C.A.S.A volunteers, and people who want to help. And you don't have to have any special requirements or background or education or experience. In fact, we have a number of C.A.S.As who've never had children themselves, but they're fantastic advocates. And so we will work with you. Whatever you need to learn to do better, any way we can support you, we just want to get that one caring adult in the life of these children so that they feel like somebody knows me, somebody cares about me,
right.
somebody is there for me while I am going through probably the most difficult journey of my life. I am not alone in that journey. I'm not just another number. I'm not just another quote unquote foster kid. I still have value. There's somebody who cares about me, and they're helping me on that road to adulthood, no matter what age they are, because that's where everybody's going when they're younger.
Yeah.
So
well said. Was there anything else about C.A.S.A before we transition?
I think just that people know that there is kind of a lengthy background requirement through doing a fingerprints, a short polygraph that is not meant to find that you've committed a crime,
secrets.
Right.
But that this is a good fit for you.
Absolutely.
Based on your background, that you're coming in with the right reasons, and that you're not going to be re-traumatized if you have some trauma in your own background, because a lot of people do.
Makes sense.
References, providing personal references, and we have certain standards that we require of the people who are going to be working with our kiddos. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 15 to 20 hours a month, but that's very, very flexible, like Patricia said. And I think that it can be done. If kids are a passion to you, or if just making our community better is a passion for you, then I think this can be a very rewarding volunteer opportunity, and that you can get a lot out of it.
And if I could pick it back on that, when she said if kids are a passion to you, and I've never really considered myself a kid person, even though we have all these kids and grandkids and but like I said, you just you can bring so much to this situation. You don't get into that mode of like, well, I'm not a kid person.
Right. Don't pigeonhole yourself.
Yes, Matt, that's the word, pigeonhole. And the other thing, when you were talking about training and just the support, you always feel supported. You never feel like, oh God, I have to go into that courtroom and I'm going to have to talk to that judge. And you always feel supported every which way. That is a huge thing. You always, even though we're volunteers, you don't feel like you're not part of the team here. You are definitely part of the team, and I'm telling you, they always got your back.
Yeah.
So that's a huge deal. So
wonderful. Anything else about CA.S.A?
Well, we just think our advocates are fantastic. We try and show them our appreciation through. We have a fundraising board that raises funds that CA.S.As can access to buy lessons or things that the foster care system doesn't pay for our kiddos. But they also give us additional funds to have some nice appreciation events and holiday events throughout the year.
Great.
And so I feel like we're a great group of people, and I think that if you want something meaningful, like Patricia said, you don't have to be in love with kids, but if you want something meaningful in your life, just to check us out.
Yes.
You can call us. Always happy to talk to people. Love to do that and answer questions. Or go online to our website and CASAofYavapai and you can see some of the basic information about our organization of what we do, and there's a place where you can fill out an application. But if you like to make a personal connection, you could do that. You can call us, combination of the two.
Great.
So
I'll put up all the information when I post everything,
Sure.
people will send them your way.
Yeah.
Let's transition to a little bit about what brought you to Greater Prescott.
Oh, I'll let Patricia start.
Well, we had friends who built a house here. They were actually in Boston, and they were looking at retiring, and they looked all over across the United States. She has horses and really big into that thing, and they ended up coming here. Well, my husband had gone to Arizona State, and he used to come to Prescott just on a downtime to kind of get away from the heat in Phoenix and Tempe. And so it's like we were in Texas on a temporary assignment there, and I'd kind of thought about going to Texas because it was green like Southern Illinois, and I thought, oh, I'm going to get out of California, and so where we'd been, but then we got listening to these friends, and my husband kept talking about it, and I was like, okay, and finally I'm like, oh, it's a desert, know. Well, it's not the desert, it's the high desert. And I was like, the word desert kind of scared me. I know. I'm like, so we came on a visit, and I just fell in love with the area. It's beautiful, and it's just been everything what we've wanted. It's it's small. It's got that small town feel, but it's got everything you need. And if you want more, you can go to Phoenix.
That's it.
So, so that's what brought us here was
Great.
Retirement.
Yep.
But retirement evolves.
Yep, and it checked off a lot of boxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
What about you?
So, like I said earlier, grew up, born and raised in Southern California. My late husband had family here in Arizona, and this was part of his territory early on in his career. So we were coming out here frequently. He was getting a little burned out with the travel that was required for his job because as he had moved up in the company, he had to do a lot more traveling back to the East Coast. And I remember when we were at our last home in California, he said, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do this. So if we were to move, where do you think we should go? So we had been through Prescott. I always laugh. Early in our marriage, we came through, and I remember thinking, I could never live in a place like this because I came from, the Orange County area, and we were close to the beach and stuff, but I was such a snob back then.
But a different season of life.
It was very different. And we were downtown and the cicadas were out because it was monsoon season and summertime. And I said, what is that dreadful noise? and fast forward, when we were thinking of retiring, he said, we could stay in Southern California. We could downsize our home a little bit so we didn't have so much going out, financially and stuff. Or we could move to a new area and have a new adventure and a lower cost of living. So we found a home, and we started looking, I think, in 2008 or 9, but we ended up putting in an offer and bought a home in 2010. Market was really low. I mean, we were able to pay cash for the house.
It was pretty cool.
And my goal, Matt, was to become the Martha Stewart of Arizona. That's what I thought I was going to be. I was going to have bees and chickens. Maybe I'll have some goats. I was going to plant gardens. I had all of these ideas, and I did end up with the bees and the chickens. I never had the goats. We had a ton of fruit trees on our property, and it was lovely. But he then put in his retirement and said, I'm going to shift gears. I don't know what that is yet, but I'm going to shift gears. Well, I had already started doing my training to become a CA.S.A. because that was something I knew I was going to do. When I was in California, I had looked up CA.S.A. years before. It planted the seed, but it took a number of years before I knew I could commit the time that we were going to be staying in one place for a while. And so I was finishing up my training, and I said, well, maybe I'll go get a job for a little bit. I had been working, but I worked from home. I had a very flexible schedule. I said, well, I'll put in my application, and I worked for the city of Prescott for about 9 or 10 months. But then I was fully into my volunteering with CA.S.A., and I loved it. Aww. I was just like, I had that Oprah aha moment where I thought, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is what I've been preparing for in my life. And so a job came open in the office. I started working in the front office, learning more about CA.S.A. from the back side of things, not just the volunteer side. And then different opportunities came up, and I think it's been 6 years now that I've became the program manager and have grown the department, the office, and what we do. And it's been an amazing journey, but I have never had a better feeling about this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Just knowing this is for me. This is what I was made for. This work is really hard, Matt. I want people to know that we see the ugly side of people. We see the worst side of families. But there is such hope that they can get the help they need. They can get the services they need through the programs that are integrated into dependencies, that if families really want their children back, they're going to have support. They're going to have people there walking with them and providing services for them and support for them. And to be in a situation like this where it's still challenging, they still have to do the really, really hard work, but the hope that we have for our families and for our kids it's what keeps me going every day. And I love being part of that. It's not so pleasant for the reasons why they come in, but the hope that they're going to get what they need to be better moms and dads and have these families reunited is a wonderful feeling. And being part of that, being able not to take all of that home, a lot of that heaviness that our cases have, and being able to help people. I mean, and then identify services. Here, maybe this could be helpful, or why don't you call this person and see if this agency can help? I mean, whether it's helping an advocate or it's helping another agency, because we've got a really nice, tight-knit community, and we all work very collaboratively with one another to try and fill in those gaps. And, with the Department of Child Safety and even behavioral health, there's a lot of turnover in those agencies. So the longer you're kind of plugged in, I feel like the more beneficial you are to our little group of child welfare.
The ecosystem that
people.
you guys operate in.
Yeah, so...
I love what she had to say about her aha moment, because I felt like the same thing happened for me after I got into it. And it's like, there's this movie, Julie and Julia. It's about Julia Child's life. And she, in this movie, she sends a letter to her pen pal, Avis Devoto, and says, "Oh, Avis, I've found the career I've been wanting all my life." And it's like, that's how I felt when I got into this, this kind of work. And it's like, yes, all, like Qunici said, all that she'd been through in life prior and all of her experiences, it just all came together to just facilitate this role that she plays now. And that's exactly the way it is.
I love doing this podcast, and I love being able to bring exposure to organizations like this, or businesses or retired people. That's part of what I love doing. And so
thank you, Matt.
I'm grateful that you have spent the time here.
Yes.
All right, last section. I call this the rapid fire question section. I just have some fun questions that I want you to answer with the first or second or third thing that comes to mind, because sometimes you just have more than one answer. All right, here's the first question. What's your favorite thing about Greater Prescott?
The Four Seasons.
I love the community, the sense of community here. I think that we have a lot of caring people and organizations, and I love being in the midst of that.
It's so cliche, the two things you say. It's what all my guests and I say. Yes. Yep. It's true. Second question, what's your favorite restaurant in Greater Prescott?
That's a little harder.
I said you could name more than one.
One of mine closed, and bummer. I don't know. We haven't been out for so long.
Probably my kitchen. I like to cook, so it's probably more.
You are the Martha Stewart of Arizona?
I've tried, but I do like to cook a lot. Good. So that my current husband, he says.
Great.
I would have to say the same thing, but not because I cook, but my husband is an awesome chef.
Great.
He loves to cook. Yeah. He's fantastic.
Nothing like home cooking.
Right.
Next question. What's the number one thing on your Greater Prescott bucket list?
I'm not sure.
I'm not either.
I really want to go in a helicopter and just kind of tour the area, because the demographic or the topography here is just so varied. It's kind of hard to get a sense of what all is out there, and I would just love to go up in a helicopter and check it out.
Or you could go in a small plane.
I'd take that too. Just get me up in the air.
Yeah, I have some friends, and he's a commercial pilot, but a private pilot also. And a number of years ago, they came out and we went up in the little plane. We went over the Grand Canyon, saw everything.
That is
had
amazing.
Lunch at the Sedona airport and came back, but we circled around, and it was very beautiful.
All right.
So,
anything that comes to your mind?
No, not really.
Okay.
No.
All right. Next question. I don't know where to go with this. I always ask someone, what's your favorite all-time? And so, for example, I had a mechanic on here. So what's your favorite car? But I don't know what to ask you guys. What's your all-time favorite thing to cook in the kitchen and have your husband cook?
I love cooking, and especially during COVID, I expanded, and I jumped on the sourdough bread bandwagon. But my love and passion is baking.
Okay.
And so I think if you surveyed people in the office and sometimes the Casas, baking cookies.
Okay.
I mean,
Yum.
yeah. So
Well, my daughter also loves to bake. And during COVID, she was making homemade noodles from scratch. Get out the flour, and she's a scientist like my husband, but she's like uses her science in the kitchen, and so she's rolling out noodles, and oh my gosh, amazing!
nothing like homemade noodles.
Nothing like it.
Yeah.
My wife loves to cook. I'm really blessed. There's such a unique dynamic of art and science in the kitchen.
Yes.
It is such a neat thing when she tells me these kind of scientific-y things, and then just the art of it as well.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. Next question. What are 3 words to describe living in Greater Prescott?
Well, it's beautiful, because the skies, to me, having just come back from California, the skies here to me are extraordinary. So I'd say it's gorgeous, it's friendly. I think that you just constantly meet friendly people.
And it's home. Last night, I had to walk out. We just got home from that month vacation. We were in our fifth wheel. Well, our fifth wheel's in our driveway right now. So I had to walk out and get toothbrush or something out of the fifth wheel before I could go to bed. And like Quincy said, the skies. I looked up, and all the time we were gone, I don't remember doing that, but I stood there in my driveway looking up at all the stars. It's just so beautiful. It's a lovely, lovely town. It's home. It's wonderful.
It is beautiful here.
It is.
2 more questions. If you weren't doing CA.S.A, what type of work would you be doing? And if you had not been an analyst, what type of work would you have been doing?
Well, I would love to be psychology, or maybe have gone to law school.
Okay.
This is what I was made to do, Matt. I mean, I can't imagine not doing this, but maybe having a bakery on the side.
Yeah, great. That's perfect. It's a lot of my guests say exactly. Yeah. I just love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really neat. So. Last question. What's your favorite summer activity in Greater Prescott?
Watching the monsoon storms come in.
Yes.
If I could just live here during monsoon season, I mean,
amen.
That has, I have loved it when I was a visitor to Arizona, and I love it now. It's just my absolute favorite. I love when they come in on the weekends when I'm home, and I can watch the clouds roll in and roll out, and that is one of my favorite things to do.
Beautiful. Yeah, there's nothing like it. Being able to sit on your deck, being covered, watching all that rain come down, just feeling the cool air.
Yeah.
Smell the rain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the listeners, we're recording beginning of August 2021, and we have had a wonderful monsoon season. And last year we had nothing, and so it's been just such a refreshing, rejuvenating monsoon season. Yes, it's reminded us just how much we love rain.
Yeah. I hope it's not over yet. I hope we still get a hearty August.
What is one question you guys have for me to wrap it up?
Any surprises in what you heard today?
Because I have worked a little bit in this field, like I said, when I was back in Chicago, I came to do assessments at the Juvenile Justice Center. So I have a sense of what it is. It's just such a fresh reminder of just how many layers there are to what's happening with these children and with these families. And it'd be naive to think that just 1 or 2 things could fix it. It's just, there's a lot going on, and it takes time, and it takes a lot of passionate people on a team to help these children and help these families. Yeah. It's just a fresh reminder, like, there's a need for it.
Yes.
And what the type of work that you guys are doing is powerful.
Yeah, it is.
To wrap it up, give people a reason to give you guys a phone call.
I think just like we talked about before, if you want something meaningful in your life, if you want to feel like you're making a difference in a child's life, in the trajectory of their future, you want to have some type of positive impact. And I will qualify that. You may not see the fruits of your labor during the time that you're an advocate. But like Patricia said, to think about them maybe at some point hearing your voice, guiding and directing them, or knowing that you had a part in making something really good happen in their life because of a recommendation you made, because of something maybe you uncovered in a case or some information that you shared with the judge, that you made a difference in a child's life. I can't think of a greater gift to go through life knowing that you made some type of an impact.
Right. And don't cheat yourself of that gift. Don't cheat yourself of that opportunity.
Well said. Qunici, Patricia, thank you very much for your time. I
you.
love hearing people's stories, the stories of organizations, and the passion behind it. That's always the one thing I really, really want to connect, and that clearly comes out here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will put up all the information, phone number, email address, website, and all that stuff and everything. So let's wrap it up with a nice big smile at the camera. Everyone, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.
Yes.